serious work and address the matter of reparations for slavery and colonialism. I start here because
Hello Black family, thank you for clicking to watch this video. My name is MC Kajambi, coming right away from Africa, and it's a beautiful morning right over here. You see the sun is already out. I don't know guys if you can see how the sun is. This morning I love the morning sun. I love to see it when the sun have risen or when it is rising. Yeah, it always gives me the vibe that the day is gonna be a great day, and also the sun speaks life. Yeah, the sun also speaks strength. When you can see and get to see the sun, means that you have strength. It is also a source of strength. So there is a lot of inspiration that comes from having a sunny morning. So guys, get today's video guys, but first of all let me thank you for clicking to watch this video and subscribing to this channel. If you are a returning subscriber, I really appreciate for your support. If it is your first time to come across this channel, please consider to subscribe today and also hit the notification bell, because failing to do that guys, yeah, you are denying yourself an opportunity to get to interact with great videos, and especially that focuses on black unity. This time we are saying that it is time for us black people to unite. It is time for us to stand for each other. It's time for us to encourage one another and love each other and love ourselves. There are shocking details that have been released about the black race, that even makes me desire to be more black. This is so, it's getting sweeter and sweeter guys. For a long time we have been oppressed. We have been made to look like we are a lesser texture, but we are dominant guys. And a lot of people, there are a lot of great people like President Ibrahim Traore are revealing to us. They are coming here to empower us and show us that we can do it. We can be self-independent guys. We can dominate. Look at the way the athletes from Jamaica, the black athletes, how they dominate. Even the fastest man now from the US is black. And for a long time the other races guys, they don't want to make it look like a debate, but guys, it is evident that the history says that we have always been oppressed. We have always been made to look as if we are little, and us, the mistake we did is to belittle ourselves. So black is beautiful and black is great and black is strong guys. Now in today's video I want us to see a speech that is addressed to one of the Donald Trump's inauguration will be happening later today. That will be later in African time, and in US time that will be like in the morning. But here in Kenya and Africa will be like around 1 p around 3 p.m. thereabouts, in the morning hours of the United States and the afternoon hours of Africa. It is when Donald Trump will be having his inauguration. And now as he goes on to take the oath of office, I want us to hear a speech that is addressed to him by one of the most influential Caribbean leaders, and this is none other than PM of Barbados, MOTLEY. Let's guys get to listen what she had to say to Donald Trump, as he plans on taking office later today.
as a human family, we grapple with the legacy of the pandemic. As a digitally connected people, we are now, regrettably, confronted by multiple theaters of war and scenes of horror and famine flowing from that war. Armed conflict instead of pursued development. Citizens of every country as well, struggling to contain the rising cost of living and the implications for them and their families on a day-to-day basis. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, we are all now threatened by the second but silent pandemic of antimicrobial resistance, together with a growing incidence of death and disability from chronic non-communicable diseases. We cannot afford the distraction of war. If ever there was a time to pause and to reset, it is now. Collectively as an international community and individually as leaders in each of our countries, we must now deliver new opportunities and solutions to these crises which dampen economic growth, which restrict the ambitions of our people and numb our sense of the beauty and goodness that the world ought to be offering because it has it to offer. The reset for which I am calling, and indeed all of our citizens are demanding, must see an end to all forms of discrimination. That rules and institutions today exist which create first and second class citizens, as we have said from this podium year after year, depending on your nation of origin, militate against the trust and the credibility and the hope, and it fosters a crisis of confidence in the existing international order, which must become inclusive and responsive for all. More than any other complaint from this podium has been the disparity in treatment and the inability to be able to have fair and transparent treatment for all that would lead to the trust necessary for us to solve the problems of our times that are truly beyond man-made causes. Neo-colonialist structures that perpetuate and reflect an old world order characterized by racism and classism and misogyny, while ignoring the legitimate aspirations of billions, will not help to foster the hope or trust that is necessary to meet these polycrises. We must ensure that the global institutions give developing countries, especially small, vulnerable states like my own, or vulnerable middle-income countries, seats at the table of decision-making where we can be seen, heard, become active agents in our own cause and lead our own development paradigms. My friends, we are reminded that 2024 is the final year of the United Nations Decade for the People of African Descent. Much has been achieved, but the recognition, the justice, and the development for people of African descent that was promised by this decade has, to say the least, not yet been fully realized. And it is for this reason that the Caribbean community joins the growing chorus, and my own country in particular, for the immediate proclamation of a second decade to complete the unfinished work and address the matter of reparations for slavery and colonialism. I start here because this is a necessary but complex conversation, and the Caribbean community is resolute that it must happen. Its resolution lies, and I want to be very clear, its resolution lies in a multi-generational approach, in the same way that the £20 million sterling debt that was incurred by the British government only was repaid in this 21st century, almost 200 years later, so that the notion of unaffordability becomes a non-issue once we recognize that the solution to reparations must be multi-generational and grounded in development. Mr. President, of necessity, the reset must also be characterized by institutional reform, which has to start in the United Nations councils. These councils suggest that some are full members and others are only part members, and some may be part-time members and some may be occasional members. All of this has no place in the 21st century. And the anger and the mistrust of our citizens and institutions, in leaders, in multilateralism, and in the processes which exclude while yielding much talk and little action is very real. And nowhere is reform and consequentially trust and hope more important to the well-being of billions of people today than in relation to the global financial architecture. Restricted access to capital, its disproportionately high costs barring us from doing that which we must, its inadequate scale, and the overwhelming burden of debt often imposed on us by circumstances beyond our control. These are all now combining to force governments in the world's poorest countries, and frankly, across many vulnerable middle-income countries, to devote more resources to debt service than to health and education, and in some instances, even infrastructure. Members of the human family, cold ground is our bed, and rock is our pillow. Too many go to bed with their bellies hungry, and too many may not even have a bed. Our reset must therefore collectively build a common agenda that reflects and reinforces our shared humanity. It is that shared humanity that binds us together. Mr. President, you know better than most. Our African brothers and sisters got it right with the principle of Ubuntu, and have used this principle, this General Assembly, to remind us that its simplicity is what we should aspire to. I am because you are. I am because we are. My well-being is tied to yours, and our collective well-being is connected to Mother Earth. This best voices the approach needed to give expression to the reset that is absolutely necessary. And we acknowledge that there are glimpses of hope. We have, for example, on Monday, agreed to a pact for the future, but we still have war. We have agreed on a global digital compact, but we still have raging pandemics in the slow motion silent pandemic. All of this rests, my friends, on the common agenda that the Secretary General had set out for us before. Yesterday, we agreed in a high-level meeting on a political declaration on antimicrobial resistance. A lot of fancy words, but this is where the rubber hits the road. Because all of us in this room know people who have died from infections for whom the antibiotics simply are no longer effective. So therefore, a person's life is snuffed out, almost if they're at work. My friends, following on the intervention of the Bridgetown Initiative and the Paris Pact for People and Planet, the efforts of many across the board, we acknowledge that there is some hope. And it is evident in the beginnings of the reform that we are seeing little by little. These are all important steps, but we cannot take our eyes off the prize. Barbados' call for fundamental reset includes attitudes and behavior as much as actions or reforms. Heads of government are in agree that we must trigger national development agendas of transformation with both speed and scale. We have a date with destiny against 1.5 degrees. We know that that is what is needed to survive. And the implications for people, even as we speak, can be dire. But if there is a failure to act with clarity of purpose, and if the political will retards progress on the front of the much-needed reform within the international financial institutions, purely because heads of government do not speak to ministers of finance when they reach Washington, D.C., or their board directors, if there is a need for that to be dealt with, then, my friends, there must be a commitment to be equal to the current challenges of member states if we are not to perpetuate the discriminatory practices that result in undermining the transformational opportunities that we need. Depriving vulnerable countries from being able to access concessional income that is long enough to build the resilience to save lives and to protect livelihoods is unjust. And that is why we must remain focused. That is why, my friends, we launched yesterday the third iteration of the Bridgetown Initiative, which has three key principles, very simply. One, we must change the rules of the international financial system and reform its governance and instruments. Two, we must shock-proof vulnerable economies by dealing with debt and liquidity in a comprehensive development-focused manner. And if we need to give countries a shot of liquidity like we give them a shot of adrenaline to avoid them falling off the cliff of debt, then we must do so. And thirdly, We must augment financing by boosting country capacity to invest in resilience by several means, including what has been announced already, the channeling of special drawing rights from multilateral partners, but that will only be truly effective if there is another issuance of SDRs in the future. Indeed, we must also ask the challenge, and
So my people, you have heard in this speech, and this is one of the timeless speeches, that addresses these leaders, including Donald Trump, as he assumed office today. You know, Mia Motley is saying one of our core principles or our agendas, as is to build bridging initiatives that combines all nations, and help each other to rise above problems, such as climate problems. And now he is coming to address that, when the way I see it, like he's addressing the policies that the US is creating to send away, foreigners, or immigrants, and okay, Trump be having it could be a viable plan for America to deal with illegal immigrants. But in that process, I know that it is true that a lot of people that are illegally there will be targeted and will be touched. No, now she come to say, there is black people have not yet been paid for their slavery. The people were forced to come and work abroad. Yeah. But now when they have come to work there freely, yeah, by choice, they are being chased away. But when they came there to be forced to work as slaves, nobody paid them. They have not yet been paid. The British has not yet paid the people. No, and now the question is, why are they yet, if they are looking to get to a plan to reparate, to pay reparations, why are people who have come to work willingly are being forced to go away, are being turned away, And he first says, if that is to happen, let us first deal with the payment, let us first deal with slavery, reparations, and get the people paid. And this speech also calls Donald Trump to avoid racism, she continues to say that black people still are facing racism, and that is true, my people. There is still racism existing everywhere, right, left, and center. When you turn to the media, you'll hear that a black person is being harassed, or even a white person, and vice versa. But the majority of the people, even research says that black people are at higher percentage of receiving racial discrimination compared to other races. So the black races, we are on the rise. We are on the rise in being victims of oppression and racism. So she's coming to address and say that leaders need to have policies that will end racism, and okay, or will minimize, because it is not possible to end, as long as there is that strife between ourselves. The white is striving to be better than the black. There will always be, or like now the US, Donald Trump is saying that the American blood has been polluted, and that is a racism speech, according to my opinion. Or what do you guys do think? In my opinion, that is a racism speech. And in that, when by saying that, that means black people will be in great danger when it comes to in the job market, or even in social events. That means that what a leader says have a high impact on how the people and they socialize and relate with each other. Yeah, so in my opinion, such kind of speeches by leaders should not be addressed. Let leaders, or Donald Trump, as he assume office, let him embrace an integration. Let him have a speech that is going to integrate the people, that is going to unite the white people, the whites and the blacks, and let them live peaceably among each other in the workplace and even in the social environment. That is what I think, guys. Those are my opinions. Do let me know what you think about these videos, and about what you expect from Donald Trump during his inauguration. What speech do you expect? What are the key highlights do you want to hear from Donald Trump? In my opinion, I want to hear him create an environment that will help people to work together and to live to coexist together peacefully. Yeah, the black people to have yeah, to have that confidence. The black people, doesn't matter from where they are from, you know, let them feel peaceful and having a stronger environment in the America to achieve their dream. Thank you guys, God bless you. Make sure you tune in for the next video.